says, for the equation below, determine the slope, m, and the y-intercept, b, then use them to graph the line in the provided coordinate plane, which is y equals 2/3 x minus 1. This is what we did last week. This is what you guys did your quiz over. Then the second one, the second problem on your opener on the back side, it says use the graph of the line given in the coordinate plane to determine the slope and the y-intercept, and then use them to write the equation of the line in slope-intercept form. So this is what we're going to be transitioning into today. Looking at a graph, and from that graph, figuring out the slope, the y-intercept, and then writing the equation in slope-intercept form. What is slope-intercept form? Yeah, y equals mx plus b. So looking at our first one here, I'm going to identify what my slope is from my slope-intercept form. So what's my slope? 2/3. And how did you know that that was a slope? Because why? No. How do we know that it's 2/3 is a slope?
Because it has an x.
Yeah, it has an x by it. Then what's my y-intercept going to be? -1. And I know that's the y-intercept because it's
By itself.
by itself. Now, remember, the equation doesn't always have to look like that. I could also write it like this. The main thing you guys need to remember, whichever number is being multiplied by the x, that's your slope. Whichever number is by itself is the y-intercept. Okay, when I go to graph this line on my coordinate plane, what do I have to graph first? Which is the y-intercept. So, which is my x-axis and which is my y-axis here?
X is side to side.
Side to side, what's that term that stands for side to side? Horizontal, and then my y is the
Parallel. No.
vertical. Good. Now, if I'm going to graph the y-intercept, which axis should I graph this on?
Y.
The y. So I'm going to start at the origin, and which direction do I go?
Down 1.
Down 1. From this, I'm now able to graph my slope. So what's going to be my slope from my y-intercept? Now remember, I graph it from my y-intercept, not my origin.
It's the right.
And point. When I go to graph my line, what do I expect to see?
Perfect straight line.
You bet. Perfect straight line. Arrows at the end of the line. Your line going through your 2 points that you plotted. Good. Some of you guys forgot arrows on your lines on Friday.
I got a question.
I have an answer.
Why is this 4 points off? Why
Because you didn't do your slope-intercept form.
No, I didn't even do it. Well, why is it 4 points?
Because it was worth 4 points.
Why?
I can show you the breakdown.
Okay. That one's-
For sure. Okay. Now, we're going to look at our graph. The line that they gave us in the coordinate plane, and we're going to determine the slope, the y-intercept, and then we're going to write our own equation in slope-intercept form. So, we know that we need to identify which is our x-axis and which is our y-axis. What am I going to have to find first?
Y.
The y what?
Axis.
Close.
Wait, what's the question?
What do we have to find first in order to write the slope-intercept form? Emily said the y-axis. She was super close. She just has one word that she needs to replace with another word.
Y-intercept.
Y-intercept. So the y-intercept is where that line crosses through the y-axis. So where does the line cross through the y-axis?
-1.
Now,
Or positive.
positive 1. So I still like to plot my point. So Emily, you said the y-axis or the y-intercept was positive 1. So which variable do I write that by?
And no.
I already got it done.
B.
It's easy.
Now, from there, I'm going to find my slope. Now, if you guys recall back to lesson 6.1, we found our slope by identifying our lattice points. So I'm going to look and I'm going to identify my lattice point. Now, when I'm reading a graph, I'm going to go from left to right. So I'm going to keep working my way left to right to find my next lattice point. Where's my next lattice point going to be?
Up 2 over 1.
So it's going to be, remember my lattice points, that line goes right in the corner of the grid lines. And then your slope is rise over run. So as Chan said, I'm going to go what?
Up 2 over 1.
So I'm going to write 2 over 1 next to which variable? M. So I could write 2 over 1, or I could write what? 2. Either one is okay. You do not have to have both on your paper. Either one is okay. And then slope-intercept form. So how am I going to write my answer in slope-intercept form?
2 over 1x plus 1.
And that's your final answer.
Do you have to box?
You do not have to box that there.
Yes.
It's all pretty much straightforward. Questions on that? That is going to be your lesson today. Tomorrow, we are going to start solving systems by graphing. So we're going to get into solving systems.